This story follows Danny Choi, a quiet human student attending an alien military academy. He listens to a shocking lecture about the deadliest planet in the galaxy, a world so violent and deadly it is called a Class Omega Death World. The alien students and teachers believe this planet is impossible to live on, but Danny quietly reveals the terrible truth: that world is Earth, his home. The story is intense and emotional, showing how humans have survived and thrived in a world of constant danger and struggle. The stakes are high as alien minds struggle to understand human resilience and what it means for the galaxy. The Vin Intrices Academy for Strategic Studies was a place heavy with history. Its walls were old, cracked, and layered with the weight of countless generations. The smell of dust, metal, and old machines filled the air. Inside the grand amphitheater, hundreds of students sat ready to learn. Among them was Danny Choi, a soft-spoken human who kept to himself. He wore a worn gray hoodie with the hood pulled low over his face. A small wire ran from his pocket to his ear, where music played softly, an escape from the alien noise around him. Danny sat in the back row. He had chosen this spot on the first day and never moved. From here, he could see everything and still stay mostly invisible. In his lap lay an old-fashioned paper notebook. Unlike the others who took notes on bright glowing pads, Danny doodled. Today, he was sketching a design for a better gray water purifier, thinking about how the Academy's plumbing groaned and leaked each morning. Nearby, a powerful alien named Rova sharpened a massive knife. She had 4 rock-like arms and moved with strength and calm. Her home world was full of hard challenges, and she was ready for anything. Close to the front, Prince Arian, a proud and colorful alien noble, fussed with his shimmering feathers, looking at Danny with clear disdain. "Rova, must you?" Arian's voice was sharp. "Your scraping is barbaric." Rova did not stop. "My blade is a tool of strategy," she said. "It reminds me all plans end with a sharp edge." Arian sneered and waved his wing toward Danny. "And that soft human? What is he doing here? I still don't understand why we even have this first contact program. What can we learn from a species that stumbled into space smelling of burnt fuel?" Rova glanced at Danny and then back to Arian. "He is harmless," she said quietly. The tension filled the air, but then the door opened, and High Strategist Valerius entered. He was an imposing figure, 7 feet tall, covered in polished black armor with 1,000 tiny lenses for eyes that saw everything. His voice was deep and commanding. "Cadets," Valerius began, "today we study a planet known as Terra 9. It is a cosmic failure, a world of death and destruction. The Concordance calls it a Class Omega Death World. It is the only one of its kind." A massive hologram of the planet appeared above the stage. Swirling storms covered its surface, lightning flashing through clouds colored dark green and sickly yellow. Jagged land masses moved violently, showing that the planet's crust was alive with rage. "The data we have," Valerius continued, "comes from 3 probes sent centuries ago. All crashed. Their sensors were damaged, but we gathered enough to learn the horrors of this world." Images flickered in the air, massive predators with claws like scythes, stalking the forests. They could smell fear, tracking prey by its panic. Then came the thermal phantoms, storms of wind and lightning that hunted by heat. Next, poisonous plants that could paralyze or kill in moments. Finally, Valerius showed the most terrifying figure, huge, shadowy beast moving with jerky speed. It was called the Prime Mate, the apex predator of Terra 9. It killed not for food but for sport, a symbol of chaos and death. The room fell silent. Even Rova stopped sharpening her knife. Alien students from powerful warrior races looked uneasy. Valerius's voice dropped. "This world is so dangerous the Concordance forbids any travel there. It is a warning to all." Then a small hand raised in the back row. It was Danny. The room's eyes turned to him. "Sir," he said quietly, pulling out his earbud. "I didn't catch the last part." Valerius's many eyes focused on him with irritation. I was concluding, Cadet Choi. This world is a warning. Danny nodded slowly and then said something that shattered the silence. We call it Earth, he said. That's my home world. The room froze. The powerful alien prince's feathers flared in shock. Rova stopped sharpening. Even Glip, the small robotic student, went silent. The weight of Danny's words hung in the air like a heavy storm. Valerius's voice cracked in disbelief. Impossible, he said. Your files say your species comes from a different star system. This must be an error. Arian sneered again, mocking Danny's worn hoodie. Is that armor? Fragile creatures needing padded cloth to protect themselves. Danny looked down at his hoodie and smiled faintly. No, it's just comfortable. He looked back at Valerius. We gave your first contact team the coordinates of a vacation spot, not Earth. We didn't want you all showing up expecting an easy world. The lecture hall was silent. Then Valerius straightened and challenged, if you think you know better, prove it. Danny shrugged and stood, calm and steady. The huge hologram of Earth faded and was replaced by a simulation grid. Valerius explained, you will be dropped into a full simulation of Terra 9. Your mission, survive 3 hours, find clean water, and hold a defensive position. He scanned the room, his eyes settling on Danny. You will lead the team. The silence was thick. No one volunteered. Then Rova cracked her knuckles and said, I will join. I want to see how this soft skin handles real danger. Arian sneered but could not refuse. I will lead. My tactics will make short work of this. Glip reluctantly joined, despite her anxiety. Danny watched them prepare. Arian wore a suit of shining armor, loaded with powerful weapons. Rova carried heavy pulse cannons and a huge knife. Danny picked only a multi-tool, a roll of cord, and a small ration bar. He tied his worn boots tightly and shrugged. Is that all? Arian sneered. You will be dead in minutes. Danny smiled faintly. Maybe. But my boots won't come off. The team stepped into the simulation chamber. Instantly, they were thrown into a world of thick humidity and choking heat. The ground was slick mud and tangled roots. The air was alive with insect sounds and strange cries. Rain fell in heavy sheets of acidic water. Rova's skin sizzled. Arian's suit flickered alarms. Danny did not panic. He scanned the jungle, looking for shelter. He spotted a limestone cave and led the group inside. They collected rainwater runoff using leaves, a simple but clever solution. Suddenly, a massive growl shook the jungle. The apex predator charged, a huge beast covered in thick fur and armor plates. Plasma bolts and pulse cannon fire barely scratched it. The beast swatted Rova aside and roared. Danny watched the beast's feet and saw its balance slip near a muddy ravine. Quickly, he made a slingshot from a branch and cord. He asked Arian to fire a sonic burst to distract the beast. Then Danny launched a rock at its knee. The beast stumbled and fell into the ravine with a crash. The team was battered but alive. Back in the prep room, Valerius studied the data. Danny's energy use was low, steady. The others showed spikes of panic and stress. Valerius nodded slowly. Your species did not just survive this world. You were born in it. You carry it inside you. It is in your bones and blood. Danny ate his ration quietly. We didn't get a choice, he said softly. You can't leave it behind. That's why we look so tired all the time. Being aware is a full-time job. He looked at the shocked aliens. You study death worlds from outside. We live inside. We build noise and music in loud cities to drown out the monsters. But they are always there, under the floorboards. The class was dismissed. Danny left the hall, tired and quiet. Behind him, the best minds in the galaxy were left to wonder what it truly meant to live on a death world. The quiet hum of the academy corridors felt strange to Danny after the intense simulation. His boots made soft thuds on the cold metal floor as he walked alone. Glip floated silently behind him, her small form trembling slightly with leftover anxiety. Danny didn't mind the silence. It gave him time to think about what had just happened and what he had said. The other cadets were still in shock. To them, Earth was a dead world, a place no one should ever live. But Danny's words had broken their carefully built picture. The strongest warriors from distant planets had witnessed a human survive what they called a death world. Not with fancy armor or powerful weapons, but with simple tools and calm thinking. Glip's voice buzzed softly through the communication line. Cadet Choi, your bio signals indicate elevated stress. Are you functioning within operational limits? Danny smiled faintly. I'm fine, Glip. Just tired. She made a small bubble of reassurance. Acknowledged. Requesting debriefing when convenient. Danny nodded to himself. Sure. Let's find a quiet place. They found a small empty room near the Academy's library. Danny sat down and opened his notebook. He flipped through pages filled with sketches of machines and notes on water purification. He realized that surviving on Earth had taught him to think differently. Not about grand weapons or flashy armor, but about small, practical things. Glip hovered near the door, still unsure but curious. Danny started explaining how Earth's dangers shaped his people. See, out there, he said, pointing at his notebook, we don't just fight monsters with guns. We learn to watch the ground we walk on, the air we breathe, the weather that changes in an instant. We don't wait for danger. We expect it. Glip's transparent suit showed patterns of bright blue as she processed the idea. Your survival strategies emphasize observation and adaptation rather than aggression. Danny nodded. Exactly. It's not about winning a battle. It's about living to see the next day. Suddenly, the room's door hissed open. A tall figure entered, Rova. Her rocky skin was still bruised from the simulation. She looked serious but respectful. You survived, she said simply. Danny shrugged. Didn't feel like much of a choice. Rova sat down heavily and said, your tactics were different. We rely on strength and weapons. You used your mind and simple tools. Danny smiled. Sometimes simple is better. Rova looked thoughtful. Tell me, why do you look so tired all the time? I noticed it in the simulation and now. Danny's smile faded. Because being alert never stops. It's like there's always something just out of sight. You learn to live with that. It wears you down. Rova nodded slowly, her 4 eyes showing understanding. Your world sounds like a prison you never leave. Danny took a deep breath. It's home. A hard home, but home. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Glip floated forward and asked, Cadet Choi, can you teach me more about your survival methods? They could improve my operational protocols. Danny looked surprised but pleased. Sure, Glip. I can show you some things. Rova stood and stretched. I will return to my training. But I will watch you. There is strength in your way. Danny watched her leave and felt a small spark of pride. Maybe being human wasn't such a weakness after all. Later that day, Danny was called to a meeting with High Strategist Valerius. The large, black exoskeleton figure waited in a room lined with glowing data screens. Cadet Choi, Valerius began, his voice serious, your revelation about Terra 9 has unsettled many. Your survival in the simulation challenges our understanding of life on death worlds. Danny nodded quietly. I didn't mean to shake things up. Valerius's many eyes focused sharply. Your species has adapted to conditions we believed were unsurvivable. You carry the death world inside you. Danny looked down. We don't carry it by choice. It's just the world we were born in. You don't survive there by being strong or fast all the time. You survive by being ready, by thinking ahead. Valerius gestured to a glowing map of star systems. Your home system was considered quarantined, dangerous beyond measure. Now we must reconsider our policies. Danny thought about this. Maybe it's not the place that's dangerous, but how you see it. If you treat it like a death world, it will be. If you live with it, you learn. The strategist nodded slowly. You have given us much to consider. The galaxy may have underestimated humans. Danny allowed himself a small smile. We're used to that. After the meeting, Danny returned to his quarters. The quiet was comforting, but his mind raced. The simulation had been more than a test. It was a lesson, for him and for the galaxy. He pulled out his notebook and began writing. Notes on survival, on the balance between fear and calm, on the importance of simple tools and clear thinking. Outside, the alien stars burned cold and distant. But Danny felt something inside him, a spark of hope. Maybe one day, the galaxy would understand what it truly meant to live on a death world. The next morning, the academy buzzed with talk of the simulation. Whispers passed between cadets, some respectful, some doubtful. Prince Arian avoided Danny's gaze but spoke loudly in the hall. This soft human survived because the simulation was flawed. Our technology should make such dangers irrelevant. Rova disagreed quietly to her friends. His way is strange, but effective. Strength is not the only path. Glip, still trembling, sent messages to her superiors. Human survival techniques may benefit other species. Recommend further study. Danny ignored the noise. He focused on his classes, on his work. Earth had taught him patience and resilience. One afternoon, he was called to a special lecture. The Academy's grand hall was filled with professors and top cadets. High strategist Valerius took the stage again. Today, we begin a new course, he announced. The study of Death World Resilience. He gestured to a new hologram, images of human cities, crowded and loud. We will learn from Cadet Choi how humans thrive where others fail. Danny felt a mix of pride and pressure. The galaxy was watching now. As the lecture began, Danny spoke calmly, sharing stories of Earth, of its storms, its wild creatures, its relentless challenges. He spoke of human creativity, their stubborn hope, and the way they built their lives on a planet that tried to break them. The alien students listened, some skeptical, others inspired. Danny knew the journey ahead would not be easy. He was not just a student anymore. He was a bridge between worlds, a living lesson in survival. And Earth was waiting, for him to show the galaxy its true face. The weeks after the simulation passed in a blur. Danny's life at the Vin Intrices Academy changed completely. He was no longer just the quiet human in the back row. Now, he was a symbol. A living example of survival against impossible odds. The other cadets watched him with new eyes, some filled with respect, others with suspicion. Danny didn't care much for attention. He stayed focused on what mattered, learning, adapting, and sharing what he knew. One morning, as dawn's pale light filtered through the academy's windows, Danny sat alone in the training yard. The air was cool, carrying the distant sounds of alien drills and chatter. Glip floated nearby, her small form buzzing with nervous energy. Cadet Choi, she said, the council has requested a report on your survival tactics. They want a detailed analysis for their strategic divisions. Danny sighed and rubbed the back of his neck. I'll start working on it. But I want to do more than just write reports. I want to teach them how we live. Glip's transparent face brightened. A training program? Danny nodded. Yeah. We have to prepare them for real life out there, not just theory. As they spoke, Rova approached, her rocky skin gleaming in the morning light. I overheard your plan, she said. Count me in. I want to learn your way better. Danny smiled. Glad to have you. The three began to design a course combining practical skills and survival mindset. They called it the Death World Resilience Program. The first lesson focused on observation. Danny taught how to read the environment, the scent of rain, the signs of danger hidden in silence, the small details others missed. You don't just see with your eyes, he told the class one day. You see with your instincts. The world speaks. You just have to listen. Some cadets struggled to understand. They were used to relying on technology, power armor, and weapons. Danny's lessons required patience and attention. But slowly, the changes came. Students learned to move quietly, to think ahead, to survive in ways their advanced gear could not teach. One afternoon, as the class gathered near a simulated river, Danny explained water safety. He showed how to filter and find clean water using natural materials. The cadets watched in amazement as he crafted a simple filter from leaves and sand. This is what really matters, Danny said softly. No amount of fancy suits will help if you don't have water. Rova tested the filter and nodded. Your knowledge is practical, grounded. It saves lives. Meanwhile, the Academy's elite began to shift their opinions. Prince Arian, once mocking and arrogant, grew more thoughtful. He still wore his shining armor and carried his plasma rifle, but he no longer dismissed Danny outright. One evening, after a long day of training, Arian approached Danny in the common room. The crowded hall buzzed with alien voices and the scent of exotic foods. I underestimated you, Arian said quietly, avoiding eye contact. Your way, it works. Danny shrugged. We all have to survive somehow. Arian hesitated, then asked, will you teach me? Danny looked at him, surprised but willing. Sure. As they began training together, Danny saw something new in the prince, a hunger to understand, a desire to adapt. But not everyone was ready to accept this change. In the shadows, a group of cadets whispered, unhappy with the attention Danny was getting. They saw him as an outsider, a threat to their traditions. One night, a group confronted Danny in the dorm halls. Their voices were harsh, filled with anger and fear. You don't belong here, one growled. Your kind is weak. Danny stood firm, feeling the old familiar weight of danger. But he didn't back down. I'm not weak, he said quietly. I'm here to survive. Just like you. The confrontation ended without violence, but the threat lingered. The next day, news spread quickly. The Academy's leaders heard of the tension and called a council meeting. Valerius presided, his many eyes calm but serious. Cadets, he began, this institution stands for learning, respect, and unity. We will not tolerate division. He looked at Danny. Your presence has challenged us all. Change is difficult, but necessary. Danny nodded. I just want us to be ready for what's out there. The council agreed to support the Death World Resilience Program, officially making it part of the Academy's curriculum. Months passed. The program grew stronger. Cadets from many species learned to survive with more than weapons, they learned to adapt, to think, and to respect the wild dangers of their universe. Danny found himself teaching not only skills but also stories, of Earth's storms, of its wild creatures, of the human will to survive. His lessons reached beyond the classroom. Alien leaders began to take notice, considering new ways to prepare their forces. One day, a message arrived from the Galactic Council. They requested Danny's presence for a special briefing. The hall where the meeting took place was vast and filled with ancient symbols. The council members sat in a circle, their faces solemn. The council leader, a tall being with shimmering skin, spoke. Cadet Choi, your survival and teachings have revealed new truths about life on death worlds. The galaxy must reconsider its approach to dangerous planets. Danny listened carefully as the council spoke of changing policies, of new alliances, and of preparing for threats long ignored. They asked Danny to lead a team to survey other so-called death worlds, to bring his knowledge and resilience to places others feared. Danny felt a mix of pride and fear. This was more than he had imagined. It was a chance to prove that humans were not just survivors but leaders. He accepted. Back at the academy, news of his mission spread quickly. Rova, Arian, and Glip volunteered to join him. Together, they would face unknown dangers and test everything they had learned. The day of departure arrived. The team gathered at the starport, their gear ready, hearts steady. Danny looked at his friends and nodded. Let's show the galaxy what living on a death world really means. As their ship lifted off, the stars stretched out before them, bright, cold, and full of challenge. Danny felt a fire inside. The journey ahead was dangerous, but he was ready. Earth was behind him, but its lessons were inside him, guiding every step. The galaxy was about to learn that death worlds were not just places of doom, they were places where life fought harder than anywhere else. And Danny Choi would lead the way. The ship hummed quietly as it slipped through space, leaving the academy and familiar stars behind. Danny sat near the viewport, watching distant suns shine like scattered diamonds. His friends, Rova, Arian, and Glip, prepared equipment with focused energy, each carrying the weight of their own hopes and doubts. Their mission was clear: explore other death worlds, understand their dangers, and test human survival skills beyond Earth. But none could forget the lesson of Terra 9, the planet that shaped Danny's people and shattered alien ideas of strength and survival. As the ship approached their first target, Valerius's words echoed in Danny's mind. You carry the death world inside you. He felt the truth in that phrase like a steady heartbeat beneath his skin. The ship's sensors beeped softly. Ahead lay a swirling gas giant with orbiting moons, one marked as a Class Omega death world, Yalara Prime. The landing craft detached and plunged toward the planet's surface. The team braced as the atmosphere closed around them, thick, heavy, and alive with danger. When the hatch opened, a blast of humid air hit them. The world was a tangled jungle of strange colors and thick vines. The sky was dark with swirling clouds that pulsed with electric energy. Rova flexed her rock-hard fingers, scanning the environment. Different from Earth, but no less hostile. Arian checked his suit systems, muttering about the uselessness of his weapons here. Glip recorded data, her little body glowing with nervous energy. Danny took a deep breath. Stay close. Watch everything. They moved carefully, navigating routes that twisted like serpents and plants that shimmered with poison. The ground pulsed beneath their feet, as if alive. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed. The team froze as a massive creature broke through the foliage, a towering insectoid with armored plates and glowing eyes. Rova raised her pulse cannons. Hostile. The beast charged, its legs pounding the ground like thunder. Arian fired a plasma burst, but the creature shrugged it off. Danny didn't reach for a weapon. Instead, he scanned the terrain and spotted a patch of glowing moss nearby. He grabbed a handful and crushed it between his fingers, releasing a cloud of thick spores. He tossed the spores toward the creature's eyes. It roared, blinded and stumbling. Rova pressed the attack, blasting the creature as it flailed. The team moved quickly, pushing deeper into the jungle. Hours passed. The environment tested them at every turn: poisonous plants, shifting terrain, and storms that struck without warning. Yet Danny's calm presence held them steady. He pointed out edible plants, showed how to build simple shelters, and reminded them to listen to the world around them. At night, they huddled in a cave, sharing stories under flickering lights. Rova admitted, I never imagined surviving without weapons. Arian nodded, your way makes me rethink strength. Glip floated close. Your knowledge could save many lives. Danny smiled, tired but determined. It's not about power. It's about respect, for the world, for danger, and for each other. Days later, the team faced their greatest challenge. A massive storm brewed, wind, lightning, and rain filled with acid. The jungle howled with fury. The landing craft was damaged, and their communications flickered. Danny knew they had to survive until the storm passed. He led the group to a hollow tree, sealing the entrance with thick vines. Inside, the team waited, the storm raging outside. Danny's voice was steady. "This is Earth's storms. We've lived through worse." They listened to the thunder's roar, feeling the power of nature beyond control. When dawn came, the world was calm but changed, broken branches, flooded paths, and a renewed respect for the wild. The mission continued. Each death world they visited tested the team's skills and spirit. They met creatures beyond imagination, beasts of fire, shadows, and poison. They learned that survival wasn't about conquering the world but living within it. Back on the ship, after long days and nights, Danny wrote in his notebook. Each page was a record of lessons, a guide for the galaxy. The team grew closer, bound by shared struggles and victories. Arian, once proud and distant, now trusted Danny's judgment. Rova, fierce and tough, admitted the strength in quiet endurance. Glip learned to balance fear with curiosity. Through it all, Danny carried Earth inside him, its pain, its hope, its endless fight. One evening, as stars shimmered beyond the viewport, Danny spoke softly. "We carry our home with us. No matter where we go, that world shapes us." Rova nodded. "You are more than a survivor, Danny. You are a teacher." Arian smiled, rare and genuine. "And a leader." The mission was far from over. Many death worlds awaited, many dangers unseen. But Danny knew they were ready. Together, they would show the galaxy what it meant to live, to fight, and to endure. Because survival was more than strength or weapons. It was a mindset, a way of life. And Danny Choi was living proof. The ship's engines thrummed steadily as Danny, Rova, Arian, and Glip prepared for their final mission on this journey, a death world that had defeated every expedition sent to it before. The galaxy called it Veshera, a planet cloaked in perpetual storms and shadowed forests. It was said to be the very definition of hostility. Inside the ship's briefing room, the team reviewed data streams and environmental scans. The images painted a world of swirling storms, razor-sharp plants, and creatures born from nightmares. Even the ship's sensors struggled against the chaos of Veshera's magnetosphere. Danny studied the maps with calm focus. "We've faced worse. It's all about respect and patience." Rova tightened her grip on her pulse cannons. "I trust your instincts, human. But this place, it feels different." Arian checked his armor one last time. "Let's finish what we started." Glip's suit flickered with nervous bubbles. "My systems are ready." The landing craft broke from the ship and descended through the turbulent atmosphere. Lightning cracked like ancient swords, and winds screamed around them. The ground rushed up in a blur of dark trees and jagged rocks. They landed hard, shaking the small craft. As the hatch opened, a wave of raw energy hit them, the air thick with ozone and the scent of wet earth. Danny led the group forward, moving with quiet confidence. The jungle loomed, alive with unseen dangers. Suddenly, a shriek split the air. From the shadows lunged a massive predator, its body covered in thick black scales, eyes glowing red with hunger. Arian fired his plasma rifle, but the creature dodged with terrifying speed. Rova unleashed a barrage of pulse blasts, hammering the beast. It roared, charging with crushing force. Danny ducked behind a tree, watching carefully. The beast's movements were fast but predictable. He grabbed a long, flexible vine and quickly fashioned a snare. As the creature lunged again, Danny threw the snare. It caught the beast's leg, jerking it off balance. Rova seized the moment and struck with her Vero axe, driving the predator back. The fight was fierce, but the team worked together, blending human ingenuity and alien strength. After the battle, the group pressed deeper into the jungle, finding signs of ancient ruins buried beneath vines and moss. The place was old, older than any record, filled with silent stories. Danny's voice softened. Death worlds aren't just about danger. They carry history, scars of past lives. They set up camp near the ruins, sharing food and stories. Around the fire, Danny spoke of Earth's ancient cities, of humans building hope on broken ground. Survival isn't just physical, he said. It's about holding on to who you are. The next day, as storms brewed on the horizon, Glip scanned the ruins and found strange markings, warnings left by those who came before. Danny translated what he could. This place has tested many. It's a trial by fire. The team knew the final challenge awaited. As they moved through the jungle's heart, the sky darkened, and the earth trembled. From the shadows emerged the apex predator of Veshra, a creature like living shadow, moving faster than the eye could follow. It attacked without mercy, striking with claws sharper than blades. The battle tested every skill the team had learned. Arian's armor held but was scratched and dented. Rova fought fiercely, but exhaustion showed in her eyes. Danny stayed calm, watching the beast's patterns. He noticed how it avoided water and preferred dry ground. Using this, he led the creature into a muddy swamp where it struggled. With a final coordinated strike, the team brought the predator down. Breathing heavily, they stood victorious. The jungle seemed to quiet in respect. Back on the ship, Valerius awaited their return, his many eyes showing a mixture of relief and admiration. "Your mission has changed our understanding of death worlds," he said. "Your resilience is unmatched." Danny shook his head. "It's not just me. It's all of us. The galaxy needs to learn to live with its dangers, not just fight them." The Galactic Council held a grand meeting to honor their achievements. Representatives from countless species gathered to hear Danny's report. He spoke with quiet strength, telling stories of survival, respect, and hope. "Death worlds are not prisons," he said. "They are places that shape life. We must learn from them, adapt, and find ways to live, not just conquer." The council agreed to change its policies. Death worlds would be studied not as threats to be avoided, but as places of potential and growth. Danny's journey had begun as a quiet human lost among aliens. Now, he was a symbol, a teacher, a leader, and a bridge between worlds. As he looked up at the stars from the council chamber's balcony, he thought of Earth, his home, the death world that shaped him. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, but with respect and resilience, life could thrive anywhere. Danny smiled softly. The fight wasn't over. But he was ready. Because living on a death world had taught him the most important lesson of all: survival is not just about strength. It is about heart. And that heart beat strong within him, and within humanity.